Morning, folks. Oh, good morning. Now the recording kicked in. This is the Podman Community Meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. We have demos coming up today from, actually, I should go through the quick spiel first. We meet on the first Tuesday of even-numbered months here. I'll fix that up. We might move the timing to be friendlier for folks over in Asia Pacific. Topics driven from meetings or requests to me directly. Please send topic requests at any point in time, and we're happy to do stuff for Podman, Builda, Scopio, or even related container projects. We do have meeting notes here, noted in the HackMD and in the invitation. If you see me write something isn't correct, or if you want to add some more to what I've written, please go ahead and do so. For today, we have Podman AI Lab from Sally O'Malley. And then I have a video from Shion Tanaka on Rosetta and Podman 5.1. He shared that as it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to run it and get it to actually work and be able to hear everything. And we'll have some Podman v 5.1.1 updates and possibly 5.2 updates from Matt to wrap up, and then we can discuss about topics for next meetings. So with all that said, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Sally.
Thanks. I know most of the people on this call, but I'm sure this meeting will be shared out, right? Yeah, because most people on this call will know what I am going to talk about, but that's okay. So let me share my screen. I am going to talk today. I'm going to give you an overview of the Podman Desktop AI Lab extension, as well as the thing that backs it, which is the AI Lab recipes Git repo, where all of the sample applications live. So let me present my yeah, I got you. Okay, so I'm gonna move this into here, actually, wait. And then now you see the slides, right?
Yes, looks good.
So here we go. Again, I have, so who am I? Sally. I'm an app developer, not a data scientist. I work in emerging tech, and so that is good for me. It fits my MO because what I get super excited about new tech. I find really great people within Red Hat to share my excitement with and work on it. And then I usually find the next shiny thing. The constant throughout my Red Hat life has been containers. When I first started Red Hat, I was working with the upstream Docker code base, and that was pre-Podman, Builda, Scopio. And it's just always been there. It's kind of how I like to fill in all of the nooks and crannies of my day, containerizing things. Some recent things that I have worked on within Red Hat that I've become super excited about, and I like to think spread throughout the company and kind of inspire new products and tools is SigStore. So I'm a SRE for the public good instance of SigStore for signing, verifying container images. And that's one thing. Over the last year, Red Hat has a new product called Trusted Artifact Signer, which is basically downstreaming SigStore and allowing people to spin up their own stacks, which is a very big stack of software if you're using keyless signing. Another thing is OpenTelemetry. OpenTelemetry will be in RHEL 9.5, the standalone collector. And it's sort of sprinkled throughout Red Hat tools. It's a great tool for collecting data, and yeah. And then the other thing is bootc. I love container-based operating system. I think that's what you call it, image mode operating system. And so I've been working a lot with that over the past 6 months too. And then this AI Lab stuff, AI Lab recipes, Podman Desktop. AI Lab extension. So yeah, for years, we've had a great data science team org within Red Hat, and I'll get to that in a second. And I never really knew what they did because like it was AI. I don't know. We'll get to it like in a few years. And I know like I'm very good friends with some of the data scientists, Akanksha, Andrila, Michael Clifford, and they work with Jupyter Notebooks and Python and other stuff. But about 7 months ago, it became apparent that AI is not just for data scientists anymore. It is definitely for application development. And that is front and center in every conference, every meeting, every customer call. It's all about AI. So we were kind of pushed together. The data science people, they know all the data science stuff. We application developers know how to like deploy stuff, create containers. And so that is where AI Lab comes in. It kind of brings those two worlds together, and yeah, I'm going to show it to you. So if you want, I don't know where this talk is going to go. I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit here. But if you want a more sane, great overview of generative AI development from local to production, Cedric Clyburn is an amazing presenter, and he just gave this talk. I'm linking it in the slides, which I will share as soon as this talk is over. And I stole a bunch of his slides, so there's that. Like this one. So when we talk about AI, we're talking about generative AI nowadays, which is like with natural language processing, large language models. It's a subset that is where you get all of these things like text generation and code generation and image generation. So that's all like called generative AI. And so things like the GitHub Copilot, all of these, every company, is spinning out their ideas around generative AI. But basically, it's all of the things that we're gonna be developing and making money with, and all of these specialized AI tools. Yeah, all the fun things like ChatGPT, whatever. So now, where does this mean for the how do we get started? AI development is really expensive. There's cloud bills, storage requirements. It requires the sun to run one of these huge large language models. So what we decided at Red Hat is a lot of this experimentation can be done locally. And that is where Podman AI Lab comes in. So how do you get started? Here is, if you haven't seen it, here is Podman AI Lab. And hold on, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting to say anything I want to say. So yeah, it enables experimenting locally with AI. We all have pretty capable laptops these days, especially if you have like a MacBook M2 or any one of like any laptop is capable of running AI powered applications locally. And with Podman AI Lab, we just can show you how to do it without knowing a whole lot about data science, sorry. So there are recipes. I'm gonna show you these in action, but recipes, AI Lab provides kind of vetted open source models with, I should say open source licensed models. And you can spin up a super cool just environment, playground to try out different models and different parameters. And let's check it out. So here I have my Podman desktop. Actually, if I go back to the slides here, down at the end, yes, the last slide will give you information about how to get started. If you don't know, everyone on this call does, but me go back up. So this is what it looks like. And I currently have Podman running. I think there's a later version. Matt will tell us in a little bit. And if I go down to the settings here, that's one way to find the extensions. That's how I usually do it. So go to settings and I get a link to the extensions. And with the extensions, there's a catalog. So Podman AI Lab is now featured in this catalog. I have already installed it. If I haven't already installed it, I would just kind of click here. Like I don't have Minikube installed. I have a lot of these other ones installed. So I installed it. Great. Let's check it out. Here is AI Lab. You see the robotic seal down here, that will bring you to AI Lab. And like I said, there are recipes. So after I show you this, I'm going to head over to the GitHub repo that backs these recipes to show you, if you're not a big fan of GUIs, I can show you from the command line how to spin these up just as easy. So there's these are all natural language processing, chatbot, text summarizer, code generation. They work pretty well. And then there are a few others here, and more will be added. Hopefully, maybe someone on this call will add a sample recipe to AI Lab recipes that will find its way here. But these are all containerized. They all run as a pod. So I will spin one up in a second, but I want to give you a little bit more of a tour. So here is the very cool list of models that AI Lab has gathered for you. So these all have open source licenses. You can also import your own model. So a big thing with AI development now is training smaller models to do specific things. And I kind of think that's the way that like the money-making side of AI is going to go, where we've got all of these, specific models for different tools. And so you can train them and create them and import them here. And with these models, you can then, a model isn't useful on its own. You need to be able to serve it. And once you serve a model, it's kind of like a file server. You get an endpoint that you can then set up an inference with, so you can ask it questions and make it do what you want it to do. So that would be, there are two ways to kind of serve a model here with AI Lab. One is the bare bones, just you spin up a thing called a model server. I can show you what's in it from the GitHub repo. Yeah, I'm not going to create it here now because I'd rather show you the playground. And is this already running? I hope so. Let's see. I'll start a new one. So I'm going to hit new playground here. And you can see I can choose any model. I believe this one is already downloaded. So I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to say test. Oh, let's just call it test. Create the playground. So what's happening is a pod is spinning up in the background with that model, which is a big blob of data, is probably like 5 gig, 4 gig, and a model server. And so you can do things like define a system prompt. I don't know. Answer nicely. I don't know what to say. I didn't plan this. Okay. Good. And then you can then, okay, whatever. I don't know what's going on. But let's go back to the other one. So last night I was playing around with it and I said, you are a helpful assistant who always makes a joke with your responses. Now, I thought it would give me a joke. It didn't. So let's just try it again. Can you tell me what Podman is? What the heck? Sorry. Of course this is doing this. We'll try again. I'll check the pods in a second. Spinning? No? Model service is running. Great. Excellent. Let's look at the pods. There is no pod running. That is a problem. So let's try. I'm not going to play with this too much longer. I think what I'll do is go on and then I'll come back to this maybe at the end of the call, figure out what's going on locally here and show it to you after. But let's spin up a chatbot. Let's do code generation. Great. First, before I do that, I'm going to stop any pods that I have running. No, I am not, because I want to show you that. I don't know why it's telling me to update this. Okay, try again. So, great. I think what's happening is I have like I need to clean out my local system, but hopefully it will push through, and it is. So what's happening here on the side is it is checking out the repository that I'm about to show you. And then it is downloading the model, which is about 4 or 5 gig. So you can see it's, I thought I was gonna pull the same one that I already have downloaded, but whatever, it's almost done. And then it's going to spin up a model server container and a inference container, which is like the front end. So all of these natural language processing applications, they default to the Llama CPP model server. And the front end for all of our sample applications is Streamlit. These are well-known tools that like everyone that's currently playing around with AI is using. Okay, great. It says it's running. So let me check the pods first, just to make sure. So I want to show you this RAG app that I have running locally from the CLI, not from Podman. So that's why I didn't want to stop it. So it looks like you can go to the logs. You can see that the model is being served. Everything looks quite healthy, so that's good. And the cool thing is it gives you a QBML, because that's how these sample applications are spun up. There's a model server container, a mounted file that is the model, and the front end. So yeah, the Podman AI Lab uses a local host path volume for the model. And on my local system, I can show you where it is when we get out of Podman Desktop. So great, it looks like it's running. So I can go over here and open the app, hopefully. And what's happening here is that it's just not ready. This isn't an error. It's just going to take a while. So what I'm going to do is show you the local application that is actually running. If I go over to AI Lab recipes, which is here, this is the GitHub repository where all of the sample code lives. So if you had, it's under containers, AI Lab recipes, go to the recipes. We're using natural language processing today. And I spun up this RAG app, but there's a code generation, a chatbot, a text summarizer. So I wanted to show the RAG because it's kind of cool. It gives you the option to drop in a file that has specific information that it will use on top of the model to answer your questions. So you can see that this is where companies are going to be using RAG to inject their domain-specific information and create these chatbots. They're going to help their customers, whatever. So in order to play around with this from the command line, you can go to this repository and just run, there's some really convenient make commands. I don't have time to show them all here, but the one that you use if you just want to spin up something quickly locally would be make quadlet. It does create the files necessary to spin up a systemd service. However, you can take just the YAML file from the Quadlet. You can take the generated YAML file and just run it with Podman kubeplay. So I'm first going to show you it running, and then I'll show it to you because it's already running. So over in here, I have I did make quadlet, and when I ran make quadlet, you can see I have the image file, the cube, the quadlet cube file, which looks like this. If you haven't seen it, here is the cube file, the image file. So if you are running this as a systemd service, it would make sure that these 3 images exist before it starts failing. So there's the front end image, there's the model, containerized model image, which is basically a scratch image that just has the model file in it. There's a little bit more to it than that, and if I have time, I'll tell you about that. And then there is this model server. So those are the 3 pieces of any like AI app going today, at least from Podman AI Lab and the AI Lab recipes. It's a model server, and a front end. There's also sometimes the vector database, which kind of should be here. Maybe that's, but we'll figure that out later. So here's the actual unit file. If you can interrupt me I can't see you. So if anyone has a question or wants to interrupt me, go ahead.
And that was actually somebody joining.
Excellent, great, okay. And so here, this Quadlet file, or the wrapper around the systemd service, it's just going to run Podman kubeplay this file. So now let's look at that file. And here it is. It is and you did notice the automation around like make Quadlet. It just does it for you. So a lot of things in both Podman AI Lab and AI Lab recipes just makes it super easy for you to get started. Even if you have no idea what you're doing with data science, you can be like, oh, I have a chatbot running. That's awesome. So here, this is the annoying thing about, and I think Podman has a plan for this, but upstream in Kubernetes, it's going to require a long Kubernetes enhancement proposal, which I opened a few weeks ago, to make it so that you can volume mount an image directly. This init container is necessary. You need it. I can't just have a scratch model image. I have to have a shell in there. Otherwise, because I have to copy this file around, which is wrong, bad, but it's the only thing possible today. I think Podman is fixing it before upstream Cube is. But anyways, that's where that init container is. And then here's the model server container. The vector database, which goes along with the RAG app, which is retrieval augmented generation, which means you give it some info on top of what is the model, so that it has some additional info, and the front end. So that's all. This is the pod. Okay. And what I did was Podman kubeplay the RAG YAML. I didn't use the image. I didn't have to use the image or the systemd. It's just that, and it's running. So that's what I want to show you, and then we'll see if everything else is working. Here is my RAG app. It's at localhost 8501. And I started out by asking it, what is a Neshoba Grizzly? My son plays youth hockey on the Neshoba Grizzly, so I was just curious to see what it said. It knows nothing about hockey or nothing about the actual Neshoba Grizzlies, as you can see. So I have a file here that is just an overview of the Neshoba Youth Hockey program. That's all it is. And I'm gonna add that to my RAG application. And now I'm gonna ask again. And hopefully it will give me a better answer. It did earlier, it worked. If it doesn't, it's your fault. No, it's because of maybe some bandwidth is being taken up by Google Meet. I don't know. There we go. See, it says based on the context provided. And I could ask all sorts of questions about it. So you get the idea. It's fun. I'm doing this all locally. It's unfortunate that my AI lab is not working quite right, and I am going to be very bummed if I get back and it's still not working, but I'm going to have to show it again next month. That's all. So you can see, very cool. All of these sample applications look like this. This is the Streamlit UI. They all look like this. There's the RAG, the chat, the code gen. So in fact, let's spin up another one. I'm going to stop this one now, and I'm going to go back to Podman AI Lab. So to stop it, you would do Podman pod stop. I'm just going to stop them all. And go back to Podman desktop. Let's see if we have better luck. Okie doke. I'm gonna try a playground again. Maybe it just took time. Or maybe not. Okay, it's thinking, kind of. Well, that's silly because I just stopped all of the pods, so of course that's not gonna work. I'm just gonna remove them. And I will, let's start from scratch. Model services starting. I think that it just doesn't like me today. And I don't want to take up the whole meeting. So I'm going to go back to the slides and make sure I finish what I wanted to show. Okay, well, I might as well try it. Never mind.
One last go for.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's working. And usually, honestly, there isn't usually not a problem. I'm not quite sure what was going on other than the demo gods have struck again. But here's the playground. All I did was, again, you can choose different models. So if you're a developer and you're not quite sure which model you want to use, you can go to the catalog here and choose one. You can, I believe you can get more information about it. Yeah. And we might as well try a code generation. Let me see if it's running now. Okay. All right. That looks good. That's the one I started before, and I think it was just taking a little time. So let's see if it's up and running. If I go over to over here, I should be able to see the front end. Yay! things are working better. So I can say like, how do I create a file server in Go? It will give me the answer. And it's so cool, right? Like you can run this locally just exactly how I did it, or make kubelet, Podman kubeplay, and you have your own personal little code gen assistant that is pretty damn good. It really is. I use it all the time. So it's neat, right? And then I'm going to go back to the slides now, though, because I know I'm taking up too much time. I will give you one more view of Podman desktop, the AI Lab overview, recipe catalog. It'll show you what's running. And you can just spin up a bare bones model server, which spins up automatically with the playground. So that's why I have two running. This is just the information about the model server. And look at this. I'm glad I didn't forget to show you this. You can, it gives you code to kind of embed this into a Go application. So yeah, it kind of tells you how to create your own AI app with whatever language you want. There. Now, I did the demo. I told you about AI Lab recipes. Did I show you the code? I did.
Yep.
And these two blogs are great about each thing, AI Lab extension and recipes. And then check out these other resources, because there's Olama and Local AI, two other projects that allow local AI development, open source. And then I found this interview from Andre Karbathy. I may have spelled his name wrong, but he was in OpenAI and also Tesla. Gives a really great overview of like where the industry is with regard to infrastructure and what types of applications are we developing and where are we going with AI. So I wanted to make sure I include that. And again, thank you to Cedric for helping me with these slides, helping me, basically sharing them with me so I could steal them. I am going to come back to you all now.
Righty.
Hello.
Thanks, Sally.
Yeah.
Are there any questions for Sally before we move on?
Stop presenting.
Holy mirrors.
So I need to tell you that there are so many more things in AI Lab recipes rather than these sample applications. There's training, embedding InstructLab, embedding bootc images. So taking the systemd services and embedding them in an operating system image. I don't have time to show any of that, but next month maybe we can show that.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back at some time in one of the following meetings. And just to reiterate a little bit, there's a lot of Red Hat folks that are contributing here, but this isn't necessarily a Red Hat project. It's an open source project out on GitHub. Yeah,
please, if you have any ideas or want to help maintain the AI Lab recipes Git repo, it would be very much appreciated.
Right. Any questions before we move on?
Do we have Sally's slides somewhere so we can refer to them later?
Yeah, I'll share them wherever, Tom. I'll put them in the doc, right?
Yeah, if you can itself, right into the HackMD. Links there with URLs or whatever, or if you want to send me an email.
Make sure they're public.
The public, you're right. Yeah, that's all.
Yes.
I have to switch them to public.
Yeah, make sure, yeah, very good point. Make sure they're not Red Hat specific. Righty, so I'm gonna try flying on the edge a little bit. Xiang Tanaka had given us a nice little demo for Rosetta and Podman and taped it. And so I'm hoping that I can play it and also share it with the video and everything. So we will try that. And if you're not hearing the sound on this, let me know. And here we go.
Hello everyone. In this video, I will introduce Rosetta support in Podman. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Shion Tanaka, and I am a solution architect at Red Hat in Japan. I have an interest in container technology, and I share information about Podman and OpenShift in Japanese. I am also the author of many blog posts and books. Additionally, I conduct Podman hands-on workshops, webinars, and community events in Japan. Do you know about Podman JP? It's a social media account I started to broadcast information about Podman in Japanese. Last year, I gave a presentation at the Red Hat event in this outfit. Pretty cool, right? Now, let's move on to the main topic. In Podman version 5.1, Rosetta support was introduced. This allows high-performance x86 emulation on Apple Silicon Macs. Rosetta is enabled by default and can be disabled via the containers conf. For those unfamiliar with Rosetta, let me give a brief introduction. Rosetta is Apple's binary translation technology that provides compatibility between different processor architectures. There have been two versions of Rosetta released so far. The first version came out in 2006, and Rosetta 2 was released in 2020. Rosetta 2 recently added support for the virtualization framework, enabling the use of Rosetta on ARM Linux VMs. We are targeting Rosetta 2, which we simply refer to as Rosetta. Until Podman version 5.0, user mode emulation using QEMU user static was available. x86-64 emulation was also performed using this method. Podman machine comes with QEMU user static pre-installed by default. Podman version 5.1 and later, you can use Rosetta for x86 emulation. Through Podman machine, Rosetta can be used transparently, allowing users to easily achieve high-performance emulation. The next topic is how to use Rosetta. Rosetta requires Podman machine version 5.1 or later, so you will need to rebuild your Podman machine. I will explain the issue related to upgrading from a version 5.0 machine later. First, delete your existing Podman machine. Then, create and start a Podman machine using the Podman version 5.1 CLI. If Rosetta is not installed on your Mac at this point, a pop-up window will prompt you to install it. Please proceed with the installation. Alternatively, you can install Rosetta via the CLI beforehand. Next, once your Podman machine is running, you can check the status of Rosetta. Use the Podman machine inspect command to check the flags. If you want to know more details, you can verify the Rosetta mount inside the Podman machine. If you see Rosetta mounted at /mount and registered in binfmt MISC, everything is set up correctly. In this case, QEMU x86-64 will not be present. Now, let's look at how to run a container using Rosetta. With the Podman run command, simply add the H option to execute it. This method is same as emulation using QEMU user static. Additionally, if you start the container with the detach option, you can check the processes with Podman top command. You can see that Rosetta is being used here. Next is building container images. Run Podman build command with the platform option. Again, This method is the same as using QEMU user stick for emulation. An AMD64 image will be created. Here is how to disable Rosetta in case you prefer using QEMU. First, disable Rosetta in the containers.conf file by adding Rosetta equal false to the machine section. Then, restart the Podman machine to disable Rosetta. The Rosetta mount will be gone, and QEMU x86-64 will be registered instead. When you run the Podman top command, you will see QEMU x86-64 in the process list. Now, I will show you a demo. First, let's rebuild the Podman machine. This environment is for demo purposes, so I will delete it quickly. But if you want to keep your data, please back up your images and volumes. Check the CLI version. I have version 5.1.0 installed. Create a Podman machine using the Podman machine init command and start it with the now option. In this environment, the version 5.1 machine OS image is already downloaded, so it will be built from the cache. Normally, about 900 megabytes of binaries will be downloaded from the internet. You can verify that Rosetta is enabled by running Podman machine inspect command. SSH into the Podman machine to check the Rosetta mount. It is correctly registered. As expected, QEMU x86-64 is not present. Exit the Podman machine. The host architecture is ARM64. Run a container with the Arch option. The emulation is working properly. Run another container and check the process status. The Podman top command shows that Rosetta is being used. Stop the container. Next, let's build an image. Using this container file, build with the platform option. When you check with Podman inspect command, you can see that an AMD64 image has been created. Now, to disable Rosetta, add Rosetta equal false to the containers.conf file. Here, I will uncomment the line to set the configuration. Restart the Podman machine. When you run Podman machine inspect command, Rosetta is set to false. Inside the Podman machine, the Rosetta mount is gone. And QEMU x86-64 is registered instead. Finally, let's talk about known issues. How can users upgrade from Podman machine version 5.0 to version 5.1? The answer is there is no official procedure. An issue related to this has been opened. I commented on this, explaining that the problem is due to the missing reference URL. As a workaround, you can directly reference the version 5.1 image using the Podman Machine OS apply command. This will allow the upgrade. However, this issue will recur with each Machine OS update. So we need to consider a fundamental solution. Another issue is that some container images cannot start using Rosetta. Certain features are not supported by Rosetta, as detailed in Apple's documentation. Also, there are container images that cannot start with Rosetta. I've provided samples of reported issues, but there may be more. So it might be useful to collect reports on GitHub discussions or other platforms. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, I'm going to try and stop this sharing. So it looked pretty good. I cannot answer any questions. However, I'm sure Sean would be more than happy to answer any if you have some for him. And he was looking for any feedback that you might have, good, bad, or indifferent. So if you want to note it in the notes or let me know real quick or contact him, that all works. And given that, I am going to hand it over for our last for the day. Dan?
Yeah, one of the things I would like to see is how well like a DNF update works inside of one of those, inside of Rosetta. It's pretty bad in QEMU use of static. So basically downloading and processing of the huge XML file inside of RPM DNF. It's very difficult. If that works well, that's a huge improvement.
Ready, thanks. I'll pass that along and see what he says. Yeah, unfortunately, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, his time in Japan right now. So not very conducive to being here and talking with us. He wanted to, just couldn't stay awake. And I understand completely. Right, Matt, we had one last topic for Podman. I'm not sure if it was 5.0 or 5.1 updates.
It'll be 5.1 and 5.2.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So we just released Podman 5.1 last week. This is on the smaller side for our releases, but we're trying to do them a bit more quickly now, especially after the absolutely gigantic 5.0 rewrites. So we're going to do a couple of smaller releases this summer. I'm expecting 5.2.0 will be out sometime in late July for context. And what we put out in 5.1 is a couple new features. Rosetta, as we just had a presentation on. We made some improvements to Podman Update to improve its Docker compatibility. Otherwise, just a varying assortment of small things. Adjustments to how we log health checks to reduce log spam on some systems, for example. And a bunch of bug fixes, the usual bevy there. I think it was about 20. We're expecting a Podman 5.1.1 this afternoon with some critical bug fixes for Podman Machine, particularly on Windows and Mac. And I'm expecting probably a couple more bug fixes in the 5.1 series, maybe a 5.1.2 in 2 or 3 weeks after that. And then we will move on to 5.2 and hopefully a 5.3 early fall, though we aren't quite planning that far out right now. So yeah, that's about all I had on the future release schedule.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Matt on that? Alrighty. Not hearing any of that. And given that, we'll go into the open forum part of the meeting. If anybody has any questions on anything that they'd like to ask to anybody right now. Or if you have any topics for a future meeting that you'd like to see. Sally.
Hi, I want to point out that we're gearing up for DevConf US. DevConf.cz is next week, so maybe some people are going, but DevConf US is at Boston University. Lots of great Podman talks. There's also an in-person containerization guild on Wednesday, August, I think that would be the 14th, between the 14th and 16th of August, the Wednesday night at 5:30, there's an in-person containerization guild you can sign up for. I don't have the info for that with me, but anyways, if you're around Boston or feel like visiting Boston, it's a free conference. Check it out. I put a link in the slides that I shared with Tom.
Okay, great. Do you recall the dates, or is it in the slides?
It's in the slides. It's August 14th to 16th.
Okay. So, yeah.
Boston University.
Really nice venue. Boston that time of year is generally not too bad to take. Right. Any other questions, comments, topics? Great. I'll just share one last thing. We've decided the Podman Cabal meetings have been lightly attended as of late, and we have been doing them on a cadence of every month on the third Thursday of the month. So what we've decided to do instead is to move them to the first Tuesday of the month of odd number months. So we'll be doing the community meetings, which are more demo based like this one today, on the even number months. And then on the odd number months, we'll be doing the Cabal meetings, which is more of a technical discussions over things that could or should change within Podman or design things. So the next one for that will be on July 2nd, coming up in 3 or 4 weeks. Although given that's right before the holiday, there's a chance that I might cancel that one, as I personally can't be there and somebody else will have to run it. And then our next community meeting will be on August 6th. And with all that, and Sally, just back in mind, August 6th, if that's looks like a good time frame for you, that would love to have you back for that. And Cedric, you have your hand up.
Hey, yeah. I just wanted to say I'm helping Dan with a cool new show that I just want to give a quick shout out for, where he's going to be talking about a lot of cool topics with Podman, containers. There's some episodes we're going to be dropping tomorrow on the Red Hat Developer YouTube channel, and we'll make an announcement on the Podman YouTube channel, but it's a cool vlog video series, super short, 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. We kind of talked about this during Summit, and I'm glad it's already coming to be like a real project that we're about to launch. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's gonna be really cool technical deep dives with some guests, and yeah, I'm very excited for it. So that's my little update.
Do you know when the first one's dropping officially?
Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. ET.
Okay. Could you get me a link for that? And I'll add it to the notes.
Yes, will do.
All right. Thank you so much.
Is it a live stream or is it a pre-recorded?
Pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded. Cool.
That sounds great. Looking forward to it. All right. So last call before I close up here. Anybody else have anything? Right. With that, I will stop the recording and thank you all for coming today.